like to welcome everybody to another edition of the Major Music Lounge, joined by my homies Gudlnd and J. Steve from Premax Records, actually out of my hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana. So what's good, fellas?
What's going on, good, man? Everything all right?
Glad to be here. Glad you're having us.
Yeah, man. It's a good Sunday, and we ain't playing right now. Raiders ain't playing right now. That's tomorrow. But I'm still enjoying the day, watching some of the games and chilling, man.
On.
Yeah.
Saints holding on.
Who they playing today?
Seattle.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, Seattle better than I thought they would be, man. But we'll see. We'll see what's good.
Quarterback doing way better than what people expect. Surprising me. I know that much.
Man,
you're gonna see how far he take.
Man, so glad to have y'all on the Major Music Lounge podcast. First and foremost, I appreciate y'all for reaching out to me. I got a chance, to go on to your page and just take a look at some of the work you've been doing. And just wanted to say, I like the way that you guys present yourself. And, kind of with that being said, like, with the presentation, you're consistent in everything that you post. And then I even went to the YouTube page and I saw some of the music videos with you, Gudlnd. And, I really enjoyed what I saw. And, tell us a little bit about, first and foremost, what is Premax Records? Like, how did you guys get started?
Well,
you take that one because I know
we decided we was doing music together already a little bit, and I was doing a little bit of producing at the time when we started, and it was getting to a point where it was like, okay, you know what, maybe we could start something where, because a lot of times in Louisiana or just in the city of Lafayette, there's a lot of talent, but a lot of people have to leave, Louisiana or Lafayette to go somewhere else for them to get recognized or just for their talent or to get supported. And I was like, why not just have something here? Especially for independent artists, because why you have to go to Atlanta? Why you have to go to Texas? Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I understand, but they got some guys who can't make it over there. And why not start something here where, some artists, local artists that have a chance that just not getting heard and got the talent, but just don't really have something to really push them. But yet at the same time, they can't afford to really move out of town. So that's why we decided to start something like Premax Records. And the name, there was a couple of names we tried.
We were tossing back and forth a couple. One came to mind. It was before something, like above something, and then we just kept going back and forth, and we ended up coming on to, before we reach our max potential as to what we could be. Like, we're that stepping stone to boost people to where they need to be. So it ended up being, pre, as in like before, and then max, reaching that max potential. So we just kind of molded that on together.
And the funny part is, pre, we came across something. The only reason I kind of came with pre too, because I saw something with some dinosaurs, and it was prehistoric era, and I know that the dinosaurs were started before a lot of things, and it was prehistoric, and I was like, let's do something as if it's something that's that beginning, like how it was with the dinosaurs. I know it sounds crazy, but that's kind of how it was with the pre, and it was just like, all right.
And branched off of each ideas.
Yeah, and then Premax kind of
molded into the thing
to reach to the max potential.
Yeah, so that's kind of like when you first reached out, and I just started kind of thinking about the name. I kind of started. It makes sense. That's the vibe that I got from just reading that name, and I like the fact that you guys are doing what you're doing. And you spoke on how, for a lot of homegrown talent, versus a lot of other people like myself, when I left, it was like 2004, kind of like we talked about earlier, but like, it wasn't at a point where the internet made the world smaller to where you can reach out and network with other artists. So that's
Go ahead,
kind
Shay.
of why, I had to kind of get out at that point in time, as to where maybe now if I probably came up now, I might be doing a little bit more in the city. I still keep in touch with a lot of people, in fact, from the city that I make music with. But
Yeah,
the internet has changed the game and allowed us to pretty much work together regardless where we're at. So yeah, man. Um,
Prime example, right here, right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
because at that point, like you were saying, it was a lot more where they had to do a lot of footwork. You know, you had to do the promoting more on foot and all that. Um, Fortunate, like you said, the internet, social media, and everything makes it a little easier as well. But yeah, it's that grind at the time before was it was rough, but it was worth it. It was all worth it at the end, though. The hard work pays off, which I feel sometimes is kind of lacking a little bit. Sometimes hard work nowadays,
Mhm.
but that's
I
it.
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
work with
it's
you.
tough, man. Like, well, I really would say, even though that technology has gotten or made creating music easier, um, I think a lot of artists still don't take advantage of it. So, you're right in that regard, that hard work,
Yes.
it doesn't come by that often. And, a lot of people just don't know the investment of a laptop and maybe whatever beat making or recording program that you want to have to make music at home.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could pay
Right.
to go to a studio, but at the same time, what you have to work with is what you have to work with. So,
Mhm.
I agree with you 100%, which is
Absolutely.
kind of part of the reason why that's kind of how I kind of got into producing a little bit too and beat making because when you start seeing all the advantages they have now than they had before, it's it makes things a lot easier. But yet at the same time, like you said, you don't have to necessarily pay to go to a studio like it used to be, where the only time you can make a beat or if you want to get involved, you have to put some
Yeah,
money
yeah.
in, and it's expensively hourly the whole time you have to be there compared to now where you pretty much have a studio at home,
Mhm.
and that's it.
yeah, yeah. So, with that being said, let's get into like the influences. Like, where did some of that inspiration come from to start creating music? Because, I heard your vibe, like a nice, chill R&B vibe that you guys got going there. So, do you make most of the tracks yourself, or like do y'all kind of sit down and say, hey, this is the direction that I want to go with?
Well, it's honestly a mixture of both whenever we look at the perspective of things, because sometimes the inspiration for whatever music we come up with comes off the cuff of something we went through in our personal lives, and we just come through and we're like, all right, this is what I feel like we should record today. But in another instance, you could just be sitting down and just have this idea, and you're like, all right, let me go ahead and start working on this. Like, say you want to go for a Michael Jackson vibe or a Weekend vibe, a Bryson Tiller vibe. You want to go for these kind of vibes, and you just sit down and you're thinking to yourself, man, I think I want to go for Bryson Tiller. And so you just
Yeah,
start making something based around that, and that turns into your own by putting yourself into what you want it to sound like, and it just kind of bleeds into the work itself, and it shows.
Yeah, I agree. And we've done some music where we've made some music together, like beats together, and we've done so where we've done separately.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel we really make some good music together when we work together, but separately as well. I feel the same way. It's a feel thing. That's kind of what got me. Uh, I would say what got me more into to get the feel. Most of the beats where I get into it's a feel thing, but at the same time it's like whatever the artist probably want as well. That always been my kind of thing. It's like what's the artist wants, what are they feeling, what's their kind of vibe, who's their inspiration, who's influenced them, and then I
yeah,
kind of start making a beat kind of around that same kind of feel of what they have. So if they say, for example, the weekend, then I'm like, okay, well, I kind of know how the weekend kind of vibe. What kind of instruments he have in his? Does he use a lot of guitar? Does he use a lot of sax? So okay, so obviously I'll get something that kind of have more a little vibe that's kind of the same as that. and a little bit of band background comes in too. So
yeah, you were in band too.
I was in band, and,
Yeah.
and I was in the drum line.
Okay.
So and then I know how to play a whole drum set. So it makes a lot easier for me when it comes to making the beat, the drums, the hi-hats. You know, it's just as if what would I do if I was playing the drum set whenever I kind of start getting the sounds together. Okay, like this is what I would probably do on a kick or something like that. And if you hear like a lot of the beats or some beats that I've made, you would hear some horns and some flutes or strings because I kind of bring my band influence in that. But when we make beats together, yeah, he plays guitar. He plays
All
bass
right.
and
bass, electric. I play acoustic. Play piano. I play you name it. I probably played it at least once.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something to say since back in the day I used to play trombone. That's my
All
first
right.
instrument. And so I had to transition from learning the low end to the high end. Eventually, you just learn all ends, and you're stuck in a place where you know all the instruments in the world.
And you know how much easier that is when you have somebody else that play guitar. I don't
Yeah.
have to go find a sample too much, something like that. I just gotta say, hey, man, I just need a chill type sound. Give me like 8 bars of that. I'll do the rest. He'll get recorded, send it to me, and I'll just I'll start putting something like that. And then, same vice versa.
Yeah, vice
he
versa.
might have guitar. We actually have a song on the album coming up. He had the sound. He had no drums, no percussion.
No.
Yeah.
So I add the percussion and the sounds to it, and then you have a whole nother beat, another sound.
Man, I just need to pull up on y'all with the trumpet and we get something popping, man.
Oh, it's yeah, I was just talking about that before. I love having horns, but man, getting that sound with that with the 8 notes, or if I want to add some 16 notes,
it's hard.
Man, it's so much easier so I can play it than to try to get that sound to try to
technologically advance it,
Man, yeah, I was in band too, man. I went to Northside actually, so I graduated from Northside. Yeah, Viking, man, 2000. That's way out there.
I was Lagrange in Lake Charles. So I'm Lagrange 2005.
Yeah, okay, all right. I remember we used to play them in basketball all the time. We used to go to a tournament out there in Lake Charles. So,
right.
Man, small world, man, small world. Yeah, I like when I hear y'all music, I hear kind of almost like a trap soul type of vibe with some 808s. And it's very chill to me, man. Like you hear a lot of cats these days. I know maybe one other guy who kind of does R&B. He does a little bit of hip hop too. But what made you go the direction of kind of in that R&B soul type of music opposed to maybe pop, like doing hip hop or rap or anything like that?
I personally feel as though everybody does it. Like everybody is in their own pocket of hip hop and rap, and it's all great. Whoever does this, they do this their way, and they love the way that they do it. But for me, I feel as though there's not enough light shining on R&B right now. Like there's a couple of stars here and there sprinkled through. You got her, you got LMA, and you got Division. But other than that, other than the Chris Browns, who's really making that stand as like, oh, I can sing and do all kinds of great things with the music. There's not that many people. Like Tank just retired. So it's like, who's gonna fill that position without it taking it into that direction of, strictly hip hop and rap? You can incorporate that within the R&B trap soul ordeal. So I feel as though that's kind of what made me lean more into it. Also, I feel as though my voice kind of feels better when I'm singing or when I'm doing stuff like that,
Yeah. It's I would say what really made me really kind of lean towards it as well is because with hip hop, you know, it's really evolved. I mean, music itself evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no matter what it is, pop, hip hop, R&B, country, whoever it is.
Yeah.
I just feel there is that certain music that, of course, that almost everybody loves. If you think about it, the old school, even if it still lasts to the test of time, because you still hear like old school music in commercials, you still see it in movies. So that show you how long. But certain other genres, it may last a little, but it has its place, but there's certain length that it will go. You know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, of course, like you see rap, you might have a rapper that has his era, but you're not gonna see. I mean, you're not gonna see a 65-year-old rapper too much. You know, kind of coming up and still doing his thing. After a while, they kind of go on and start doing some other little things that they endorse in or something. But the old school, maybe pop, funk, you know, R&B, you could do that almost any age. I remember used to seeing the old PBS reunions. My parents used to always be looking forward to it, but those guys be in their 60s, but they still could sound good, you know. So that kind of a certain kind of music where you can still see it, but you don't see no. I haven't seen a reunion where we had a bunch of 65-year-old rappers that came. You know, they had a reunion special.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. They probably do. So nobody kill me out there for it, but I haven't seen it. But it might. Well, I mean, but you see it more in the R&B and pop, and I don't know. It's something about that sound.
Well, it has been here around longer. Like some certain genres have been around longer, so there's that.
And especially with this album, I felt with his sound, it needed. It was a certain sound. I felt with a right sound. You did some hip hop, but I felt with the right sound behind the pop. Man, it'll be even more. Bring it out. So.
Man. So kind of let's get into, you talk about, you know, some of your music, and you sent me Stuck in December. And then you sent me another one a couple of days ago as well. So is that project already out, or that's coming out soon?
STG will be coming out later on this week. So that's gonna
Okay.
be a new single. That's gonna be the last single before we release the album. But the first single was Stuck in December. That's the one that's out. Yeah, that's out everywhere. It has a music video.
Yeah,
And
that's the one I saw. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it has a music video and it has the audio. So
Okay.
yeah.
Where y'all
We shot it actually at my parents' house in Lake
Okay.
Charles.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you first start, low budget, you do it every way you kind of can, so that has a good
Man.
scenery that fits with, you know.
Yeah.
We met with the director to do it, which was my brother, and we got together, discussed the story.
Mm-hmm.
We let him hear the song. He came up with a whole story for it, and we figured that house would be a good place for it, and that's what we shot the video.
Mm-hmm.
Word, man. Yeah.
But it was his words though, his lyrics.
It, I liked it, man. I liked it, man. Like just the whole concept behind it, and you know, the quality of it. I mean, I thought it was on par, you know, with anything else that you might see on YouTube. Now, I know some guys are out there, they might shoot with some low quality phones and things like that, you know, but again, what
Yeah.
you got to work with. And then overall, man, you know, I just thought it was a great song, man. So when the album comes out, what, Friday?
Well, the next single comes out Friday.
Next
STG.
Okay.
STG. That'll be a new single that'll be coming out this Friday, and the album will be released a little later this month, early November.
Okay.
So,
all right.
We'll have that.
Build a little anticipation for it, make it keep
stay
alive a little bit, you know.
And we feel that's the thing. Like what you were saying. It's the way the music was, or the way that type of music. I mean, some people might like it, some people might not like it, but it's a certain vibe that feel that you don't really see too much really too often. So
yeah, and I mean, you know, when you were talking about, like, you mentioned how a lot of these older performers, they're in their 60s or 70s, or maybe even, they're still here by God's grace in their 80s, and they're still
Right.
performing their music. They may not, be out there doing a show every week, but hell, like George Benson, for example, jazz singing guitarist. George Benson in his 80s and still
Still
touring
doing
the country, dropping albums. And I do believe though, at a point,
Legend.
probably in about five, let's see how old, maybe like Dre and Snoop and them boys getting in their 50s right now and
Yeah.
Yeah.
stuff. So I would say probably in about 10, 15 years, you might start to see,
A little less
more
out
that.
there.
Well, I think though the time's gonna change where they may not be dropping albums, but you might see Snoop do a show here and there.
Yeah,
As to
right.
where right now you don't see a lot of rappers that age. Like you may even see Jay-Z, I don't know, drop a little 3-track EP, then
Right,
perform
right.
one big show a year or something.
But when
Uh,
last time LL Cool J, you don't see LL Cool J
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, you don't see him no
You
more.
don't really see well, I mean Snoop's still hanging around, but Russell Simmons in there. I mean,
Yeah.
Russell Simmons just went to a whole nother, something else he's doing. He's doing like whole endorsing and everything else. But you don't really see him doing rapping, he's the late 80s, and
Yeah.
all that. So it's just proof is in the pudding. You have all of them from then. I mean, look at what's his name from Ice-T.
Yeah.
Ice-T really doing it no more, but he's
Ice-T,
doing.
that Law and Order bag.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But see, he shifted on to something else. He was only going to do so much. He wasn't going to come out now. You can't see Ice-T now come out. I mean, he's still going to have chops. But
you ain't seeing Ice-T on.
he'll probably do the theme song to Law and Order. Probably do a rap on the theme song. So
I can't even see it no more, man. Like I just see him as a dude on Law and Order, man.
right, but we all know there was one time,
Yeah.
He was in the streets. Like you wouldn't expect him and Steve Austin be doing some beer commercials, but like
Ice
that's
Cube,
what they doing
Ice
now,
Cube
you know
doing the
what I mean?
movies and everything.
Ice Cube.
You don't really see Ice Cube really doing it. So I'm saying it goes to so what, but then you see, I mean, Earth, Wind and Fire still gigging. The guy you just said still gigging. Shaka Khan still gigging.
Still gigging.
I mean,
it's crazy.
But it's crazy how you see the difference on something. I mean, but yeah, that's music.
It's different type of energy, man.
Man, I wanted to ask y'all, what do you make your beats on?
I do mine on FL Studio.
Okay.
FL Studio. I've been rocking FL Studio since I started. So I mean, pretty much was 2000. I'll say 2008, 2007, 2008.
It's been around.
And it has an MPC on it, So I have a touch screen, so I could do a lot of it on there. Then connect my keyboard and all that stuff on it. But FL Studio is what I do most of my beats, and I do recording on Mixcraft. So I record on FL Studio. I do it on one, beats on one, recording on another.
Yeah.
That's kind of beats.
Same. I make all the beats that I make. All of those originate on FL Studio.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I keep everything in line.
Oh yeah. FL Studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's an industry standard, man. Everybody uses FL Studio now.
Well, they got different ones, but
yeah, you got the GarageBand, you got your Ableton,
yeah,
you've got Pro Tools, but when it comes down to the raw authenticity of beat making, people know where to go and what to do. Like FL Studio's it.
What you use?
I use Machine and MPC. Just kind of depend on my vibe. Sometimes I may dabble in like Beatmaker 3 on the iPad. But it's mainly gonna be them three I used to make beats. But like Machine kind of been my that's I would say probably equally been my regularly used in the last couple of years.
Man, you be getting it on it, man. Because isn't this Beattober? Is what you call it? Yeah. I've been seeing some of it. Some of the old he brings a lot of that trap
Nice.
You know, I be seeing how you be getting on. I was like, oh yeah, he cooking right now. You can see the different levels. I like how you do the whole transition. You show the lapse of the time. You show when you did the kick, show when you just start off with the kick, or you show with the background. And you had the hi hats and the snare. Man, you're a dog with NBC. Beetober. Beetober. I would just say this: if anybody else haven't checked out Beetober, check him out. Beetober. He doing his thing.
Man, yeah, appreciate it, man. It's a challenge this guy does every year. His name's Tatro. He's another YouTuber, but he kind of helps spearhead that whole campaign every month, and they do like donations for younger inner city kids to be able to create music. So doing a beat a day, man, it's just something. I also like to just challenge myself to even produce a vibe maybe I don't normally produce. So yeah, man.
It's got, and you can still hear that Texas feel. That it's got that old vibe to it. That trap, still got that trap vibe to it.
With them 808s.
Trap, yes, the 808s is. I'm not. Man, I don't use like a lot, like where it's too, like where it overdoes, but I like to use 808s for sure.
Yeah, man. I like my old school, but I like my 808s too, man. So I gotta go back and forth sometimes. Just depends on my vibe, man. Yeah, man. So tell our listeners, where can they find all your music at, and y'all on social media.
Well, we've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
So like, what's your artist pages?
Yeah, all of those, you can find them, all of their page, Facebook.com/Gudlnd, Instagram.com/Gudlnd, YouTube.com. You can find me there. You look up Gudlnd, I'm the only thing that shows up. TikTok.com/Gudlnd, I'm there. Same with Premax Records.
But you make sure it's spelled like, is that
Gudlnd.
I think
that's how you spell.
That's why I don't know. I think I came across somebody named Gunland before. That's why I was about to call you that before. When now that you say that,
it's same for Premax Records. You can find it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Premax Records. You can find a lot of our stuff.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna get the J Steve page up eventually and start getting the beats all on there. But it's more about keeping it on the independent label and artist page.
Man, and I always like to ask, every guy or every creator that comes through, if there was 3, it could be producers, it could be artists that you can work with that you haven't worked with yet, who would that be?
That's a good question. All right. So off the rip, I'm working with, and I know this is going to be an out of worldly pick, but Kurt Franklin. I'm working with Kurt Franklin on a lot of production, everything. The man just has it. Like, he's really underrated when it comes to the game. I do favor a lot of Hitmaker sounds. He's out here. And if I ever do get a chance to work with Dr. Dre, let that be the day that the greatest album of all time is going to be made. I'll say it now for the future. I'm speaking it into existence.
Man, I ain't mad at that list, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, there was one time when I first moved to Dallas, man, and I'm just having this conversation with this cat at my job. Phone conversation. And at the time, like, I didn't know who he was, but anyhow, he left. And my coworker came up to me. He's like, man, what you was doing talking to Kurt Franklin all that time? And I didn't even know that I was talking to him.
Yeah. So you recognize when you saw him?
Huh?
You didn't know that was him when you saw him?
Nah, man. That was like, because I remember, like, in the late 90s, early 2000s, kind of, he had he had like a lot of hair and stuff, and you know, he had the beard. And this time, that day, he was all clean shaven and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like I didn't realize that was him. And he's not a very tall guy. I think I'm actually taller
Yeah,
than
he's
him.
short. He's
Yeah.
short. Yeah,
And I'm only 5'7" now. I'm taller than him. So I just thought he was just some random dude. But anyway, he was cool, man. And I didn't know all that time I was talking to Kurt Franklin, man.
Absolutely. I met him one time myself at a concert out in New Iberia. They had this benefits concert. It was him, Rance Allen Group, and John P. Key. They had them all set up there. I managed to get a backstage picture with him, and he was just the coolest dude. I'm not even gonna lie. It was surreal meeting him, man, because I grew up listening to this man. My mom had him on the playlist and everything. It was monumental.
I probably wouldn't have probably recognized right off the back seeing him. But another one that's short that I probably would know is Prince. Prince, well, I probably would know it.
Yeah, no.
I'll probably be like, oh, I know you're Prince. Like the eyes probably would have had me gazed in and killed like Prince. But nah, yeah, Kurt Franklin, I probably would have did the same thing. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't have recognized right off the back, but
I see a lot of cats around here though, man, in Dallas, like, and I usually like can point out like I saw Mace one time recently actually, and I had an idea that was somebody, you know, and I got close to him and I was like, yeah, that's Mace. Yeah. And but like that was just one off where I just couldn't tell. You know, I couldn't tell, man. So that probably was.
I used the old generic. Hey, man, anybody tell you look like Maze? What the old generic one? And they say, well, you either gonna get I am Maze or well, you know, I never got that before. Oh, I get that all the time. Yeah. But then I wonder how many people, if you say somebody look like a celebrity and they say I get that all the time, I wonder how many of them people probably would have been a real person. I wonder if that's crazy.
That's crazy, man.
I met somebody that looked like Denzel Washington. I said, man, anybody ever told you look like Denzel Washington? And then he's like, I get that all the time. That probably could have been Denzel Washington. I don't know. I mean, probably could have
been. Man, what about you, man? Like, if you can work with any 3 producers or artists, who would they be?
If I could produce an artist or to be around,
you could be the producer for them.
Look,
like, let's just say maybe you might produce an EP for them.
Man, one, I would say, one singer, female singer. This might sound a little, but one would be Keisha Cole.
Oh, yeah, Keisha I could dig that.
I would probably want to, and if I can do something with like produce or make some beats for that person, that would be one. Detail as a producer, if I could be in the same like studio with him or like work and make some stuff with him, I love the way he generates, how he puts together his hi-hats and his pad. I like that combination. I don't know. That's one. I like the way how he does his beats. If you ever listen to a lot of his beats, the hi-hats it's like he put a lot of detail, I mean, no pun intended, in his hi-hats. And I know it sounds small, but I actually listen and look at those things, you know. I mean, and I know, you know, as a beat maker, you hear, sometimes you listen to a song, you're probably not hearing the song the same way maybe the average person is.
Yeah.
Because they got a lot of people, they'll hear a song and they say, man, you hear that bass, man, do you hear that beat? I'm up here saying, yeah, but did you hear that triangle? Yeah. You know, did you hear that triangle in the back? That, you know, that little two, you know, or that flute? Did you hear that? I be hearing, that's the stuff I be like listening to in that background. I'm like, man, the killer just adding that in there. But yeah, detail and one producer, not don't laugh, but
I'm sorry. You said don't laugh.
yeah, but I you know how I feel like this, but I like how P Diddy gets the best out of his artists. Not necessarily, don't get me wrong, I like Dre as well too, but I like how Diddy, like how he gets his artists, like the best out of them, like to get them to come out, to
Yeah.
get what he wanted and his vision for that song. And I kind of trying to use that method when I'm producing music. Like, we probably do a take, but then it's just like I really don't feel like that was your best. I don't feel like you can. I feel like you could really bring more out of it. And the way he does it, I don't know. And I don't know. I love it. And that last night, that one he produced, that last night with Keisha Cole, the song's called Last Night. If you listen to that song, and I've seen the video also with him in studio with her, the final product and the way how it could have been, two different things. Because the way she kind of just started just singing it, it was just kind of like but the way he kind of was pushing her to get it out, to push, like, man, really push it. Like, you got more than that in there.
Yeah.
And the way the final product is, yeah.
You might be in
So
there 10, 12 hours with Diddy trying to fix one part.
yeah, that's the detail. And
Yeah.
if you notice, all the people I named were people that pay attention to the little details. Detail P Diddy. I did that with him on his album.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one, and there was one where I was just like,
was,
I think it was Silicon Bar. I think it was that one. And it was one of them you had to redo, but it was one he did, and I was like, man, we recorded it, and after I listened to it that night, and I got back with it, I said, nah, look, you gotta redo this. This not like this. Bring out another. And he came back and he really pushed. He did it a different way.
And
It sounded
see,
good.
and that's also like the difference between being an actual producer versus being just a beat maker. And I
Yes.
think a lot of times in our craft, and some guys, they get all upset about it when you call them a beat maker. And you're not discrediting them, but you're just simply saying that their part in the process is they're making the beat. They're not going to the studio with the artist and saying, hey, maybe you should do it this way, you should do it that way.
Yeah.
And I just think that some of the guys, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think we all go back and forth. Like right now, I would mostly say I'm in beat maker mode. I haven't really produced nothing in a while for like, in other words, being in the lab with the artist, creating their album. I'm also just create and then I sell beats on the website. But, a lot of people get the two confused. So, I'm glad that you kind of pointed that out.
Yeah. It's almost like, you got the director of a movie and you have the actors. I mean, the actors, yeah, you act in the movie, the director is on the vision. Like I said, they film it all in different portions. They don't film it in the exact order the movie going to be, but the director has the vision what the final product going to be. So there's a difference between being the actor in the movie and the director over the movie. That's two different things.
Yeah. Man, before we exit, man, I'd like to also ask, what kind of shout outs do you have?
Shout out.
Well, let's see. Shout out to the Hub City boys. I know they're going through a little rough patch right now, but I know hopefully they see, how far we taking these things, and they get reunited to want to start back up again. Shout out to God and Karma's Bastards. I know y'all are still working on everything and doing what y'all got to do, and shout out to you, my man here.
Appreciate
For,
it, man.
give us this wonderful platform and getting us to be able to speak our minds or something.
I'll say a shout out to Alex the Pony, the guy who directed the video. Shout out to him, and also, I gotta give shout out to also that there's a couple of other the word I'm looking for is who helped out with this album. I mean, because it was basically me and you, but also my brother helped with that, and also shout out to Lafayette.
Lafayette.
Yeah, shout out to Lafayette, man. Because look, I will say this: Lafayette needs to show the support. They got a lot of independent artists out there. There's a lot of independent artists that's in Lafayette. There's a lot of independent artists that's not heard, that is actually out there, but just needs the support. Yeah. So shout out to all the independent artists that is in Lafayette. So
yeah, man. Shout out to all the independent artists in Lafayette, and I've had a few creators from Lafayette on the show. So one of the things that I personally made the commitment to do, given that I have the platform, is to get more talent from Lafayette on the show to talk about what it is that they're doing, because we got a lot of talented people that came from the city. I mean, Cupid, everybody knows the story with Cupid, and Mr. Fat, shout out to Fat as well. And we need to have more stories like that from the city. And I also want to stay in touch with you guys for whenever I come back down. Maybe I'll pull up in y'all at the lab. We can do a person to person interview.
Bring your trumpet.
Yeah, man. get a little impromptu. What they call it, a tiny desk. We'll be in the back with the trumpet playing.
I don't know. See why I have a little saxophone, man. We got a couple. We got Marvin Gaye on the wall right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been talking to a couple of just really one guy about possibly coming down there to do a performance, and I still come. I got family. My mother's still down there, my brother, and everybody. So I still come down there every now and then. So yeah, man, we'll definitely link up and create something together, man, and possibly, like I said, do that interview, man. And anytime you guys have anything that y'all want to come on and chop it up about, feel free to reach out to me, man.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, sir.
Definitely,
that's
man.
a promise.
We appreciate you giving us a chance to talk about our music and to let it be out and bring this on your podcast. So it's much appreciated. And like I said, again, we didn't know you was from Lafayette till you had brought it up.
Yeah,
man. That's good that you. I would appreciate that you showing support for, of course, artists and producers and independent, anybody that's doing independent, because of course just as well doing anything independent. It's
hard.
It's hard.
It is rough. It's rough. But
it's tough, man.
You need a little support along the way. So
yeah, man. Anytime, and I appreciate y'all too, man. This has been another edition of the Major Music Lounge podcast. You catch new episodes every Friday on this YouTube page, as well as all podcast streaming platforms. It's your boy Dee Dot, Gudlnd, and J Steve of Premax Records, and we are out.
You can tell by my demeanor, smooth, calm, and collect. You don't see nobody cleaner, paper, power, and respect. Seen, read, and heard, sit back and peep the scene. And my hustle off the chart, moving at a different speed.